Okay, welcome to Regional School District 13 Board of Education meeting, Building Committee, January 21st, 2026 at 5 p.m. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. United States of America, thanks, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, open this up to public comment. Do we have there are no members of the public speaking? Anybody online?
Angela and Phil are both online, but I don't see anything.
Oh, great. We have Phil is online for the building committee.
Yes.
No members of the public?
No.
Okay. Item number 3, approval of agenda. Please take a look at the agenda. I believe it's changed from what was first sent out. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. We have a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, approval of minutes, December 17th, 2025. Everybody had received a copy in their meeting packet. Any concerns? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second. Can we get a second? Okay, John Jim Mateo, approve, seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the minutes of December 17th passes. Okay, item 5.
Howie, can we quickly do the announcement around the right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Howard Weisberg, Building Committee.
John Cross, Building Committee.
Rusty Malik, QAM.
Carson Collier, QAM.
John G. Mateo, Building Committee. Darren Overton, Building Committee.
Kim Newbeck, Director of Finance. Christine Cowan, Board of Ed.
Marnie Liska, STV Owners Representative.
Laurel Purcell, ONG Industries.
Bob Warner, Board of Ed.
Sydney Leggett, Superintendent.
Lucy Petrella, Board of Ed.
Jamie Rohrbeck, Board of Ed. Eric Croy, Facilities.
And we have
Kevin Boyle, ONG.
And online.
online, we have Angela Cahill and Phil Dwyer.
Great. Do they need to speak in case they want to be recognized? Okay, great. Okay. Item 5, memorial renovation and expansion. Do you want to have a general overview first and then go into the items?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's start with do you want to actually we'll turn it over to STV if you want to start the proceedings.
Yeah, okay, so I just handed out to the group a project budget summary. So I want you to have this handy while ONG is presenting the CD estimate to you. And while we go through potential value management options and bid alternate options, I'd like to ask for you to hold your questions about the budget in particular until after they're done. But I wanted you to have it now because it incorporates the estimate. And I thought you may have questions like, how does this fit into the big picture while they're doing that? And this, again, corresponds with their estimate and it can give you those answers. And then when they're done, you of course can ask me any question you want about the project budget and we'll go over it.
Great. Do you want to turn it over to ONG first and then we'll turn it over to QA&M? Does that make sense? Laurel, do you want to go next?
Absolutely. So I handed out, I only had 12 copies. It's a very short version. I know it was emailed out ahead of time as well, but it's our construction documents estimate. We took the time to reconcile. QA plus M had their own estimator. So we went through the motions of comparing and contrasting what each estimator was carrying so that we have a reconciled number. So this estimate that we've presented to you represents that reconciled number. There's a lot of numbers, and the way that the columns read are the phase 1, the phase 2, which is out to bid right now, and then the rest of the project, which we'll call phases 3 and 4 for your total, which is then the last column. So the phase one swing space, those numbers now represent the actual final value of the phase one work. Phase two is obviously still out to bid, so this is still based on our estimate. And then phases 3 and 4 are the latest set of documents that we just finished estimating. So we're still carrying some escalation to get to the actual bid date. You'll see that down in contingency. About $4,500 for phase 2 and $486,000 for escalation in phase 3. The other thing that we've done here is on our I don't know what was in your last estimate, if it was 3%, but we're showing 2.4% now. But we do have this reduction. We're representing it now, but it's subject to review and adjustment during submission of the GMP. So we did reduce it for now. But we just wanted, I don't know if 3% is in the contract or not, but that's what we typically would try to carry on a renovation project. So at the bottom is our total estimated construction costs. And if we flip to the next page, and this, these numbers, marry to what Marnie had sent out as far as it's a different format, but it's all the same numbers. So when we add in the owner soft costs, we actually have a cost that is slightly over budget, slightly meaning 4.15% over the entire budget. This is the total project costs. And what we've done is we said, what can we as a team identify that are fairly quick to modify the drawings because of where we are in this stage of design. Either that revisions can be incorporated or we can identify something as an add alternate, and depending on how bids come in, you can accept them when the bids come in. So the team has a list that we want to review with you. There's a certain value here that we actually recommend that you accept to move this project forward, and that's worth about 1.558 million. And so there's more if you wanted to, if we do that, if we incorporate what we recommend, we're going to recommend that we go out to bid. We proceed with the PCR process with the state and just go hit the market with us we have about 2.1% over. If you want to carve a little bit more to be a little bit safer, to be a little bit more conservative, there are more items that you can ponder, you can consider to accept for now. And in that case, the best case that we've been able to present at this point is 0.73% being over. But either way, we think we're going to be a little bit over budget going out to bid based on our estimate. We're really early in the year. It's a good time to be on the street. Contractors are looking for work for the upcoming year. So we're at a good time. So that's why we're just recommending just go forward and go out to bid. So before I move on to the value management, or unless you want Q&A, then to present them, any questions on what I talked about?
Let me ask John. Obviously you do this an awful lot, and so does O&G. What, when you go out, you typically find that your estimate's a little bit over, or, I mean, obviously you're trying to hit it on the head, but obviously you try to be conservative in your estimates. Right. This time of year trending, do you have a feel for whether or not the bids are going to come in a little low? We do our estimates. We don't try to be the low bidder. We try to be the second or third. Okay. So based on that, the bids should come in under our estimate. Okay. That's what we would be comfortable with. But I've seen it all over. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's an estimate, in highway transportation, we never know until they come in. But obviously, in this trade, we're just, I'm just curious as to what that estimate really entails. Right, we don't try to be low bidder with this. Okay.
Well, people say, Ben, what you're actually getting is market value, right? So, and that can vary during the course of the year, or, what goes on. But I can tell you right now, my experience is the market is good. So I'm confident that we'll get good numbers, and because the market value right now is good. If we do in fact get bad numbers on a particular item, it's probably going to be one or two, and there's probably some reason why. So we certainly have that opportunity. We're positioned fairly well. I know you're at 2.5%, but the reality of the situation is between CM contingencies, order contingencies, escalation, all these other, we're closer to 5.25%. You know, and I do want to point out that, you know, 500,000 on the building permit, which we brought up at the beginning, is killing us. That's typically not a number that, you know, that's typically waived. So that's coming back to haunt us now. But it is what it is. But we are positioned pretty well. We haven't got out the bid yet. So, you know, I recommend certainly we move forward because I think right now the numbers are gonna be pretty good. Right, Mike?
Great, thanks. But, BOE members, I mean, you guys have looked at this, obviously, there's a budget involved, any concerns, or obviously, we're gonna look to the value engineering, we already had a discussion about it, I think some of the value engineerings are very valid, and can be implemented without any impact on operations, on the facility in any way. So, yeah, anybody else have any comments or concerns up front about the process? Like I said, I think once the numbers come in, we'll have a much better idea, but I think we're getting to the point that it's, you know, it's getting pretty close.
What's the process in terms of go out to bid, we get everything back, we still see, we're at least $500,000 shortfall? Like, I was just wondering, like, how's the process work with the state of like, so then we realize, okay, now we need to start cutting. Like, is that then like put a hold on things? Like, would it delay anything? That's what I'm just.
I think that you would look at when the bids come in, the critical bids are going to be the concrete, site excavation, steel. We want those to move forward. And then we can put a hold on the others because they're not going to be needed right away. They're going to be, you know, coming up. So we can then, that gives us some time to evaluate and look at which bid packages came in high and why, and then maybe make some adjustments at that.
All right, that makes sense, which is kind of.
So,
Yeah, we still have a path forward. It's just a mixed bag of how we need to deal with things. Depends on how the bids went. Maybe there was confusion, maybe we rebid a package. There are strategies.
Yeah.
Okay.
The materials back there. It probably happened. It may not be to that amount, but it's not unusual during a project like this to
Oh, yeah.
have to rework a particular bid package.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's just kind of more like the finance side of things where I, you know, in an ordinary case, you know, like when I've been a part of building buildings, it's like, oh, well, I could just go get another loan or I could move things around. You can't really obviously do that here. So that's why I was kind of curious about like the process and like how that would work and, you know, just
Yeah, no,
gives me a little pulse.
We're stuck with this number. We gotta make it work.
Yeah.
There are extenuating circumstances, but we're not anticipating anything like that, so.
but in terms of if there's an item, let's say the furniture cost comes in, or some later item comes in really high, do we have the ability to pull that out of the package and rebid it? Okay, so we have flexibility down the line on everything. It's not and I guess, yeah, when this gets submitted, what's getting submitted as a package? Or is it everything gets let out? I mean,
When we go out to bid, we're gonna go out to bid for everything that's in phase 3. We're gonna go out to bid. We will take the bids in. Probably critical trades will come in ahead of the next round.
okay,
Again, it depends on how things go. Then we will be presenting to you, once we've done our scope review, our due diligence, we will scope contractors. And then we will present to you who we recommend as the lowest responsible qualified bidder.
for each of
Be
the,
the lowest bidder.
activities.
Each of the different trades. So we're gonna concentrate on the critical people that are everything to do with schedule. We're gonna be pushing you to get those approved.
Okay.
And we'll follow up. So it's gonna be a series of approvals and then we're gonna wrap up one big giant GMP that says, okay, these are all our trade contractors. And this is the schedule and, you know, please bless us to.
So if something comes in high, you can just look at that particular bid
Right.
package and figure out what's going on with that one,
Right.
adjust it. And
Exactly.
Okay.
And even if it's not settled by the time we're trying to present a GMP to you, we'll still carry a number in there that's reasonable. So at least you have a full package for the
Perfect.
job.
Great.
So ONG and I were talking about another strategy whereby a specific bid package includes items that could be installed much later in the project, like window shades and gym wall pads and things like that, that we could hold off awarding those packages until later. And later, in my mind, would be at such a time where ONG feels comfortable giving back any unspent or a portion of the unspent contingency funds that could then fund that. So rather than, wait to the end of the job and get all your unused CM contingency back, whatever it is, where it's too late to spend it or do anything with it. It's kind of like you banked some portion of that money for the future.
Mhm.
We know based on experience, some portion of it will come back. The question is just how much, right? So ONG is, of course, going to be more conservative about how much they think is going to come back, because right now they've got a lot of risk exposure, but as the project continues on and certain work is put in place, that risk reduces. So,
When you bid, are you gonna put all the bids out at once, or are you gonna stagger all the bids?
We're gonna put it all out at once, but we're gonna bring them in staggered.
Okay,
We'll receive them in staggered fashion.
so you won't have like hey, you're not gonna have one giant wrapped up number from,
Well, you'll know at the end of bid day,
okay,
we'll know where the entire project is.
okay.
Parallel to where our last budget estimate
Okay.
is.
yeah, the
Just-
team like sits with a spreadsheet, like as the bids are opened, and we're all punching in the lowest one.
So
And
they
there's
all
always
come
a
in
little-
they all come in on the same day, or they all
Yeah.
come in?
No, it's a public, it's
Yeah,
public
but
rip
there
and
will be
read
a
and.
Yes, but I made to delay some, so,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I'm getting into the weeds here. So it's a pretty picture. So anyhow, yeah, you try to have one bid due date, but invariably on a job of this size, you will stagger some of the other bids.
But everything's clustered around the same time?
Yeah, within
Okay.
2 to 3 weeks.
So even even the activities that occur at the end phase are all bid and
Yes.
opened at the
Yes.
beginning?
The
Okay,
only thing that's not is the FF&E and technology, those other costs.
but if it's a higher number than you're comfortable with, you may hold off on awarding it.
Well, so I believe there are limitations on how long we can actually delay the acceptance of someone's bid.
Yeah, we have
Because
90 days.
Yeah, you're right. So you have 90 days. So it's not like we don't have 8 months to say, oh, let's award that package because we feel like we have a little more money. That timeframe is somewhat limited unless you are very specific and by doing that, there may be a cost to extend that person's hold on their value because they're the ones at risk for volatility where they can't buy whatever they were going to right then and there.
Right.
But if, let's say the number was completely off base, could you just reject all bids and bid later?
Yes,
Yeah, you can.
And that's, I guess, what you were talking about there. Maybe if something goes over, according to Christine's concern, if something's completely out of whack, we can pull that off and say, you know what, let's reevaluate this at a later date.
But if
won't
those,
be much later.
Yeah.
It's gonna fall right on, like
Okay.
procurement happens over a 2-month period, so
Okay.
it doesn't drag on that much.
And typically, if a number is way off or a whole group are way off, there has to be some sort of reevaluation, maybe a refinement or some clarification of their scope. To just take, if we have a package that goes out for, say, Mason, and it's way off, you can't just cancel it and put the same thing on the street because you didn't change it. And 2, now the numbers are out there. So now everyone knows what the numbers are. So you have to change the scope before you rebid it.
I did a project where the landscaping numbers came in really high, and it came out during the scope review meetings that a lot of the plantings weren't native to Connecticut. So they were procured, in other states, and that was driving the cost up. So through those meetings with the bidders, you sometimes learn things that you can then, modify the drawings and go back out to bid later. So
Great.
ONG also holds very, very detailed scope review meetings with the apparent low bidder and sometimes the two lowest bidders. And it's not unusual for one of those bidders to say, oh, I completely forgot, this, I didn't include it in my bid. And there may be a reason to go to the next bidder, and they would explain to you at the time what their recommendation would be.
Okay, great. No, that really helped clarify the financial process of it. Now, when you group your bids together, do you list the items that are going in that bid? Obviously, you're not bidding out each item individually, you're bidding out clusters of items.
Yeah, so we assign spec sections, so those specifications that you see, all those specification sections, we actually assign the sections to different trade contractors.
Okay.
So all the plumbing sections will be assigned to the plumber, all the masonry will be assigned to the mason, concrete to the concrete.
It's called our bid packages. It's its own spec section, 00500 or whatever it is, and it says you as this trade,
Right.
you're responsible for all this, and then there's a bunch of instructions as
Right,
well.
and sometimes there's one specification section will affect more than one trade contractor, so we have to clarify who owns what part of it.
Okay, great. Any other questions about the budget, the process?
Yeah, and any questions about this budget and how ONG's numbers plug in, because I did kind of format it a little differently so you could see things individually. So we went through every ONG, QAM, STV, we went through every component of this bid multiple times over the last week. Even the soft costs to determine and confirm what we felt was appropriate. So we did make some reductions in the soft costs based on, we talked to Rusty about certain approvals, that we've already gone through and no longer need to hold additional money for these approvals. So there were things that could be reduced. I made some notes on the soft cost so that everyone could understand what that pot of money is intended for and so forth.
This is great. One thing I'd maybe like to add to this is what I often do is I'll go ahead and add the items that are reimbursable versus non-reimbursable, because right now that's kind of critical.
Yeah.
If you're carrying numbers under a line item and, a good portion of that is non-reimbursable, we need to know that. Because when the budget was originally set estimates, you have to remember that most of the estimate meeting that goes on is for reimbursements.
Mhm.
So often non-reimbursable stuff gets plunked onto the project and nobody pays attention on we're over budget. So we want to make sure that we buy everything that we can afford to buy that we originally estimated. That's part of the ed spec.
Yeah.
That's critical. And then anything that's non-reimbursable, if we can use that to add onto the project, also at a later date.
Yeah, I can add a tab for eligibles versus ineligibles. So when the grant was, when you applied for the grant, Rusty had done a PSCCD estimate, which has those two columns. And additionally, ONG's done a Excel cost estimate with that information as well. And then I think it got tweaked and it's gone back from the PCR meeting to reflect what's in the document. So we do have a current document through DD phase. And then by next week, we'll have it updated for CD phase. So I'll take that and kind of meld it into this format. And one good news is because you're a regional education district, that nasty building permit fee is reimbursable. If you're just a regular municipality, it wouldn't be.
Right.
The ICW, which is the ineligible cost worksheet, is part of our requirements for the PCR.
Right.
And also the CCD will be updated, so, and those two have to reconcile.
Darren?
So where do the ineligibles lie in the budget?
You're mixing two different things, right? The budget is the total project, the reimbursables is what you're refunded back by the state of Connecticut. Right, so, I mean, right, so I mean, obviously, you're not, the district is not going to be paying the full, whatever, 70-some-odd million, and that's what the ineligible cost worksheet shows you. At this point, I would say that of the 76 million, say, there's probably,
He's always usually conservative when he figures out the
I
percentage
mean,
of
even
this
if
is
we-
not reimbursed.
right, like what's reimbursed, even if we were to say it's 6 million of the 76 is not reimbursable things, right? Then from there, then you take what your reimbursement rate is, which that there was a little increase to that, right? That came through legislation. So then you use the multiplier on that, and that's the actual amount that is coming back to the district to refund you for what you are paying it all out, but then you are reimbursed by the state.
Yeah, it's really a payout. We're not making money on this deal.
No.
It's coming in the door and right back out. So.
Right.
Well,
It's going out the door first.
It's going out the door,
Yeah.
right, and then the state goes up to like 11%
Yeah,
of it
exactly.
until you're closed out,
So-
so.
if we're not being reimbursed, we're paying the full vote on it, right? So, we just want to make sure that we're maximizing our reimbursable items. So we can afford some of those other non-reimbursables. You're gonna have them, there's no such thing, that it is part of the construction process. But we don't want to give up something that is reimbursable for something that isn't.
I think that's right. I mean, it's a renovation status project, right? So you want to just explain that.
Everything on the project is eligible for reimbursement on the construction side, with the exception of any work you do off-site. So if we've got a curb cut on the road that extends off the property line, that's ineligible. But everything else as a renovated new project, whether it's maintenance labor or it is eligible. Where it becomes a little trickier is with change orders as time goes on. There are certain rules and regulations, but what's an eligible change order? And the key is how you write the change order. We know how all the key words to put in so that it becomes eligible, even if it's iffy. But I mean, the reality is the project that would be mostly eligible. On the soft cost side, you've got certain things like legal and bonding costs, et cetera, that are always defined as ineligible. So we know that up front. So it should be fairly easy to maintain that.
Same goes for certain pieces of equipment and technology as well that are carried as soft cost kind of line items here. The state does have guidelines that are spelled out as to what items are deemed eligible, what are ineligible, which we've shared with Cindy and Kim at this point, just as we go through the process. We're not acting on that right now. We have time to kind of finalize that phase before that goes out, from a review standpoint, but.
Specifically, I mean, it used to be that laptops and phone books, et cetera, were eligible. And now they've made it ineligible and say that's part of the operating cost.
Are you allowed to get reimbursed as you go along with the state construction? Okay.
Every
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can only submit every 2 months.
Yep.
But you're allowed to project, I think.
Yeah.
So you can kind of
Mhm.
cover yourself.
It's always a month behind.
Right, but it's,
Sometimes it just
but it's
gets
every,
really
but
good.
it's right, it's every, actually, I don't know if you can project as much. I think now they require you to submit,
Your
you actually have to submit the actual bills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they changed that in the last year and a half, that,
And in the summer, they shut down for a month or so.
Yeah.
That sometimes
Nobody gets
takes-
paid.
and getting the first one's the hardest part. Once you get the first one through, it's, you do fall into a cadence, but
You're in the system.
yeah.
So you mentioned that the reimbursement rate increased.
Right, because
Through special legislation.
right, from what was originally on the priority, whatever, right, every district has their own reimbursement rates for the type of project, but I believe here there was additional. The
I think
percentage of increase.
what we were granted was the additional space for the
The
pre-K.
pre-K.
Yeah, 15%.
Oh, the 15%.
It's originally 50% on just the pre-K portion.
It's on-
They said it's on the whole project now.
Correct.
We benefit from that.
So I think, are you somewhere like,
I think we're at 61.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think you're like in the 62 or 60, something like that, I remember.
So just asking this question further, the cost to the towns has actually decreased
Correct.
because of the
In the
increased reimbursement rate.
Correct.
So just taking it one step further, if there were an overage that happened, ultimately, the cost of the town has gone down. So there may be some,
Careful.
But
You can
you,
only
but
spend the total project.
the state requires that you.
no, but if there was other stuff that was of interest that couldn't be necessarily included in here. The overall cost was, the towns had to pay was less than previously indicated. So
We're talking about if we went out again to the community.
yeah, at least we,
Yeah, if the towns want to donate chunks of money for the project, go ahead.
where we had originally looked at maybe 35 million as a town share, it's now gone down to 30 million. When the project is done. So I just think that's an important thing to get out there, that the reimbursement rate increase has actually reduced the town's burden on this project.
Because that was not projected in the
Yeah.
referendum time.
Yeah, exactly.
Less a job tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think that's just an important thing to make aware that, with the increased reimbursement rate, the cost of the towns has gone down.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else, or should we turn it over to
We
QA&M?
got the hard work with the value management, so whoever wants to lead that.
Yeah, let's get going.
I mean, we can just talk about, before we get into the guidelines.
An overall status
An overall
update?
status.
Yeah, let's
I mean,
do that
Since
first.
the last meeting, we finished, the drawings and obviously had, the estimates from our estimator and ONGs, and we reconciled that, so that's been a big chunk of it. We had submitted all the drawings of the officials for third-party review. At this point, the structural review, all the comments have been addressed, so that's signed off on. The third-party review, we got their comments, we responded to all of them. They're back, and so we're waiting for the third-party reviewer to send us the sign off. After that, then the locals can sign off. And then the health department is also signed off at this point. So we've got a good chunk of the sign offs we're anticipating. And so the only ones are the local building and official and fire marshal.
Any questions from the committee?
I think they were also at the pre-bid conference today. So Carson.
That person's gonna issue an addenda as we go.
Yep.
Good.
Great.
Howie, I just have a brief board update. The board approved an official subcommittee for naming
Oh,
of the
good.
school and a mascot selection.
Oh, good.
And Christine Cowan and Jamie Rohrbach are heading up that committee.
Excellent.
Yep.
Good.
The Christine and Jamie school.
Excellent, very good. The colors are remaining, the same though, right?
We're not changing any colors in the design, but if somebody has something specific to go with a mascot, that'll be a different story. And
Great.
we got hundreds of suggestions in the survey that went out, so they have a really good starting.
Oh, that's
place.
awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be fantastic.
And John looked scared when I said hundreds of suggestions.
Do we want to,
Ninety of mine, you can probably throw away just.
I want to discuss, I know there was some back and forth on closure schedules, with tennis court, with the tennis and pickleball courts.
Oh, yeah, that was a
Little-
hot button.
Yeah, do we want to maybe just discuss that briefly?
I think we're good, middle of May, right?
I sent out a site logistics plan for what we were planning on doing when we got started on site, where we were taking over the pickleball courts, and that did not receive much fanfare, so we revised it to, we moved it off pickleball courts and leaving that whole one parking lot for as long as we can before it impacts construction. So a realistic date is mid-June, but we kind of backed it all up from there.
Mhm.
So I think the idea was gonna be mid-May, and that will give them updates as you get closer, because it'll depend on how fast we get.
So it's going to stay open to at least mid-May, and then
Yes.
it's as construction
It'll be-
dictates.
Yeah, we can always give updates well in advance, because what we need to do in there is these detention
Sure.
structures, so we have to have the materials. It's not like.
And Eric, you had mentioned that you've been in contact with soccer,
Yes.
and they're well aware of everything and pulled out.
Those back fields will not be accessible, only the pickleball court.
Yep. And soccer is well aware of everything and
Yes.
aren't
Fully
planning on.
reopen.
Yep, okay.
So I've heard no complaints, no pushback, nothing but thankful to hear that there's a date established and it's understood and moving up.
I think you should charge the whoever's coming out there some money and that can go towards.
Yeah, we could leave a little tip jar out there.
Great, well, that's huge, and we really do appreciate that. You know, keeping the facility open is gonna be huge. And then no issue with the soccer people, they're under all their equipment's moved off that they needed. I guess the other thing we'll have to get with them on is, when is a turf even gonna be ready for them after school opens? Because obviously there's gonna be a time that it's gonna take to get the turf ready, is it,
Yeah, I mean,
should they be planning on the next spring? They shouldn't be planning on fall work, right? On fall 27.
Well,
Well,
the
it-
backfield, we're really not touching, so
Right.
whatever's in that back area, I don't know how big it will be that's left, but we are building a brand new soccer field.
yeah,
And if we're done in fall.
the key there, if we can get it, if we can somehow move our stuff around and get that field at least established in the spring.
Fall,
But, if you,
this fall.
this fall?
No, the
No,
fall
it
after.
would have to be-
Yeah, the fall.
Yeah, you need two growers.
Right, right, like I said, if best case, if you can get it in the spring of 27, you're still, I wouldn't go on it in the fall of 27.
Yeah, so it'd
The
be,
fall's really, that's the best time to plant it, right? The spring is not
I
good,
think
so.
Eric will be able to look at it and decide,
but they should be planning on
Spring of-
getting it no earlier than spring of 27.
28.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
spring
was gonna say,
28, yeah.
what's with
that's
27?
recommended.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
What?
Spring of 27, you'd wanna plant it?
Yeah.
It would be nice, yeah.
Then they can have it for the fall of 28.
Possibly.
You got
No,
a year.
they get it for the spring of 28.
Uh.
Because it gives you the spring and then it gives you the fall
If the
again.
summer, if the summer's really hot and dry, you're not irrigated, so it's, could be problematic. But
If we can get it
let
established.
them know at least for spring for now, and obviously things change and if we can get ahead of it.
So I agree. I think ideally you want a full growing season to get the plants established.
Yeah.
You want them to winter over for the roots to fully establish and then start regrowing in the spring before you use it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I really think there should be evaluation at that point of whether the turf is established enough for use.
Yeah, because the contractor owns getting the turf established, so we don't wanna, if you start playing on it, now all of a sudden, they don't own that anymore. So we wanna make sure that it is established before we actually start playing.
And I guess that, on that note, it's a big open field that's gonna be exposed for a long time. We have to figure out a way to keep people off of it. Yeah, because all it takes is a couple soccer matches while that's, unauthorized soccer matches while that thing is trying to get established.
Is there a way to access that? Oh, you're just saying when we turn it over.
I'm just saying,
You don't-
like, right, come the summer of 27, we're gonna have a final fence, but the campus is going to be open to the public
Right.
for the start of school, so there is no control unless.
We leave stuff.
Put some-
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right here.
That's good for the honest people. That's great.
Electrified cartridge paper.
Yeah. Yeah, but just something to think about, just trying to keep them aware of the conditions and.
But I think that's a good thing to start communicating now is that not having that outdoor space in the fall of 17, I think is a good message to start even as early as now, because there's no way that would be feasible to have.
Okay, I think that's an important message to get out. I'm sure you don't want to replant it every year. Great. Any other questions for, Carson or Rusty? Great. Schedule, like I said, great to hear we're on schedule. The comments weren't significant from the reviewers, all addressable.
Yeah, actually, we got them 2 weeks late, but we were able to just take care of them in 3 or 4 days.
Oh, fantastic.
So at this point,
Fantastic, great.
some red herrings, interesting.
All right, do you want to, should we start discussing,
Yeah, I mean, so the value management, these are items we've been kind of talking about for a while, but I went through them. I really don't have any issue with accepting these. We have to get the project into a little more aligned with our budget here. These will make a big impact. I don't know if we need to go through every single one of them, but the one item I want to comment is the canopies out front. I would put those in as a base bid with the alternate D to deduct. Again, I've said this a bunch. If we really want something in the project, you bid it as base with the deduct, not the other way around. Because when you haven't bid jobs like this, bid day, if it's an alternate, you're not spending a lot of time on it. And you're just gonna get basically a rough estimate.
Wait,
So-
you would prefer,
I know it's important to Rusty's design to have those canopies in the front.
no, but fundamentally, you would prefer an alternate be a deduct alternate, not an add.
This particular one, because it's a piece that we really want. The rest of them you can do, take them out or change them, I don't care.
Which item is that?
This one, the
B1.
Okay, thank you.
other one, right now, if I'm not mistaken, Rusty, right? Am I speaking out of turn? You're kind of want those?
Yeah, I think it would make a difference to the front of the building.
Yeah.
You know,
And I agree with that.
So
So,
I'm a B01.
yes. All I'm saying is include in the base bid an alternate deduct in case we don't want it, in case we have a budget issue.
We just confirm the columns, so accepted are numbers that are accepted in the current bid numbers. right?
Yeah, would you like me to explain the
Oh,
sheet? before we
And that's
dive
not
in?
bid.
Yeah, why,
Add
yeah,
on.
go ahead.
Okay. So the way that we organized this was the action item, that there's a description and then this is the total credit to put against the overage that we're experiencing right now to kind of get you more in line with the budget. So accepted means us as a project team, we talked about it. We think it's a good idea. We don't think it's going to materialistically change the project to give you less quality. It's just a different way of doing something. So we're agreeing to do, we're agreeing that we just make the revision and it's not coming back. So whatever you see in the accepted item column is something that would go away and not come back. Alternate means that on bid day, if you can afford it, when we're putting all the numbers together, you will have a choice to add some of these items back in. They're not totally taken out. You have the option to be able to put them back in. Pending were just items that we were, again, just trying to come up with some big scopes of work to make it palatable to you as far as how far do you want to cut this thing down? Not that we necessarily recommend it. We could try to live with it. We just wanted to get some other item. And then the rejected, there's only one item in that. Again, just tossing out the one idea about the roof, which I know has pretty much been discussed.
Right, so I basically agree with the accepted columns. The alternates are fine with my comment was only just on BEO one just list that as a base bid instead.
So that will reduce.
It'll still be an option,
Right, we won't be able to take the reduction right now.
right, just put it over there in base, but there'll be an alternate to deduct if we need. So the alternate will read deduct base bid. Those canopies.
Yeah, the base bid would be a concrete sidewalk with 6 metal benches. That's what
No,
you would.
base
do.
bid will
That
be-
needs to be the alternate.
Yeah.
You're right.
Do we want the 6, I guess the question is, do we want the 6 metal benches as opposed to the brick veneer benches anyway? Is there a significant cost savings there?
Yeah, there's a significant cost savings because it's 282,000.
But that
Just
also,
the benches.
Yeah, they're kind of mixed in there. Metal benches are fine. They have to be coated benches, but they're fine. I don't care.
Can we break?
If you're not doing the canopies,
There's no point.
there's no point in trying to keep the concrete.
Right. I'm just wondering, can we go with the metal benches and the canopies? Can we break it out so that we replace the brick veneer benches with the metal benches?
No,
Are the brick
they're
benches
they're all,
built into
they're
the
all built
canopy?
together.
Oh, it's
they are.
integrated?
Yeah.
built
And
into
the
the
canopy.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
All right, so can I add one more thing to that?
Yep.
So, again, I agree with all the accepted, and I do like, John, I like your points with adding in the canopy back in, because I think that's important in the front of the school. But I also don't like taking out the stamped concrete. And I guess I'd like to hear Rusty or Carson's opinion. To me, that creates an entry statement. I assume that's all in the front of the school as well. I would love to see some variation in the concrete walks in front to create some interest there as well. It's not a big number, it's $48,000. I'm happy to consider some other options to pull out in the pending column. I would love to see some stamped concrete back in the project.
Well, again, that could be.
But that's just my opinion, so I'm
And
open
that,
up
and
there.
that, and that's important. Again, I think if the committee, if you want something, if you really want it in the job, you should put it in the base.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
So if we want stamp, if we really do think it, we should have the stamped concrete, put it in the base and then have an alternate to deduct, that's all. It's the same thing, except for you're gonna get a better price if it's in the base bid.
So in my opinion, I don't care how you handle the alternate. I just don't want to see it taken out entirely and not have the option.
Yeah, and don't forget, he's already got all the stuff designed, so because it's in the alternate, we have the opportunity, listen, we know on bid day, right? The first numbers we're looking at are MEP, right?
It's like,
And we're gonna know in a hurry whether or not we're gonna be able to afford these alternates, so we're gonna be able to say, yeah, put that back in, yeah, put that back in, or guess what, we can't afford that. So my whole thing is if you do things you really decide that you want, put those in the base and then deduct them if you can't afford them.
Cause I think the concept is you won't get as much back as a deduct alternate than if you were to look at it the other way and
No,
treat it as another.
Yeah, and I look at it, cause I know you're a CM. I was too, but I was also a contractor, so on bid day, and I know you were too, right? We bid everything base bid, that's what you're focused on. The alternates come last. Because we look at it as that, they can't afford it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we don't spend a lot of time on alternates. So when it's in the base bid, you're getting a market value. Capiche?
Yeah, you're getting, right, you're getting the added competitive, right,
Yeah.
Either way, your decision to not take base bid. You have more of a competitive advantage on the, whatever's in the base is always
Yeah.
more competitive than anything that's an
That's right.
alternate,
Right,
right?
so as an owner, if you really want that in a job, that's what you should put in the base bid. I'm not saying put all of them. There's some alternates. Stamp concrete, 48 grand, that probably doesn't matter. But, you know, something like that. The canopies where I know it's important for the project, it's important to look at the building. That we really should get a good market value on that.
We don't have any pavers left in the project, right?
No pavers.
So, and that's a great option. I would just love to see
Yeah.
some stamped concrete.
Do we make the stamped concrete and do we either put the stamped concrete back or do we make it an alternate?
I leave that up to ONG and others of how they want to handle that as an alternate. I just don't want to see.
Small amount.
Yeah, it's a small, in this case, I don't think it matters.
It is small,
if you leave it.
yeah,
That's a
like
big deal.
they don't accept it, reject it.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll probably end up with it. But I don't know, we'll see, but
So would our vote tonight to be reject it and put it as an alternate?
Well, that you wouldn't be rejecting it then, you'd be moving in the alternate
Oh,
column.
just like an alternate.
yeah.
But for 48 grand, I don't know.
Normally, we wouldn't bid this many alternates, but we're on the razor edge here on the budget. So this just gives us a little more flexibility, but it's important how we do it to leverage the best market value.
So are we saying you want it as an alternate?
Yes.
Yeah,
And you want it as a deduct or an add?
it can stay, it can be an ad, it's fine.
Rusty.
Because the concrete guy, when he bids it,
Yeah.
he's a concrete guy, he's gonna know, he's gonna give you a good cost of how much it's.
I mean, for this one, we already have it kind of detailed as, the stamped concrete at this point. It's an easy enough kind of detail change from our.
And you
Or
have a
documentation.
spec that already talks about like the requirements of it, like stamps and all
Correct.
that stuff too.
Yep. It talks about
Yeah.
all that ending.
Then just make it a deduct then.
Right, so at that point, we can make it a deduct and
Okay.
you'll at least see what the value is if numbers come in unfavorable for that, whether or not it's something that the group would be willing to accept at that
So we've
point.
got this in a stamped colorized concrete.
Correct.
Right, good. Keep,
Do you want to focus on the pending or
Yeah.
how do you want?
Um,
how do you want to do it?
yeah,
I mean.
yeah, I'd like to get into the rubber plate surface too,
Yeah.
as well, but let's go to the pendings.
Just to kind of throw things out. So just an update on GO1, there was a meeting with the fire marshal again, follow-up meeting today, this morning, and according to my field people, Kevin, you were there as well as witness. Fire marshal is saying that we really only need to do the temporary heats during demo only, that we're not gonna need to do it for the rest of construction. Temporary fire alarms, well, it's just another way of doing it, but anyhow, so we're gonna be able to eliminate the phase 3 costs that we thought we were gonna have, so we're gonna be able to take that reduction off, so we're just gonna revise our estimate. This value management was if we could get rid of it altogether, but it sounds like that's not happening, so.
But it does reduce it to 4 months or so, right, for phase 2.
Yeah, well, we can use what do you have, an Edwards there? Well, we can use the existing. And that's just in the demo, it's not in the new.
The fire, so the requirement was that they maintain the fire alarm during the demo and the entire project.
Yeah.
But I think they backed off of that, but we normally don't do that.
No, but, yeah, that's fine, but if he's requiring it, we can accommodate that, that shouldn't be much of an issue, you're gonna just, now, during the day, it'd be off.
It's off, we've told them that, so we're gonna
Okay.
turn it off.
I think
Home at 5 o'clock and turn it on.
I think the issue though is the ability to do all of the demo that we need to have happen and actually preserve the Edward system. I think that's.
I don't know that we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, that's right. I think right. I think that once we get over there, I think we need to figure out, is there an alternative to him having the full Edward system with just some devices on it?
He's okay with the Edward systems going down, we explained that.
As long as there's
You
another.
can run a temporary wire, run 14 devices, have it go back wirelessly to a dial.
Do something, okay.
And go back to 911.
Right,
I mean,
okay.
he was okay even with the wireless.
You
Right,
can
okay.
get, we use them on high rises.
Yeah, no, I just want to make it right, because the infrastructure of the fire alarm system, we're gonna put it into such trouble that it would never. Right.
Right, well, ways.
Where it's mounted in a little way, isn't it?
It's in the main office.
In a wall coming
Well, you
down.
can pull it off and put it on.
Yeah, you just put on some like infrastructure.
Yeah, but think about all of this stuff right out of it though, you're gonna spend so much time on trying to like surgically disconnect all the things. that we
No,
put in trouble.
you don't do that. What you do is you just cut all that stuff and you run one circuit. That's all he's asking for, right?
Yeah.
And does he want battery backup? Oh,
No, we just talked about up to 14
It's not that
devices.
big of a deal.
No, I know, I just don't think we need to be married to maintaining the existing. Let us
rather
find the
not either.
cheapest solution,
Right.
not just being married to keeping that system running, because it may be more expensive to keeping the existing
Yes.
system running, so.
I sent you some stuff. Did you get it on the temporary?
Yeah,
So I've used that stuff. It's very simple to use. He's okay with that? Wireless?
He's okay with wireless, we have,
That's all you need.
So what we're gonna do is when you see this again next week, the GO1 will be in the rejected column. It will be less of a value because we're gonna be reducing our estimate to eliminate the phase 3, $100,000.
Great.
So SO1, we decided to make it an alternate. We're moving that there. The next one, is SO2 that I just want to bring up because it's a pending item. Dinesh wasn't in love with this, Darren. I don't know if you have experience with it, just from an environmental standpoint. So this was to use reclaimed asphalt, basically grind up what you have on site and use it for fill underneath new pavements or any of the concrete sidewalks. So from an environmental issue, so we didn't know if you had any experience on other projects, that's why we left it as pending.
If you drove in the driveway, that's what you drove over.
That was my point, but
So
we wanted to hear.
I don't have a problem with that. We do it all the time. It's actually very environmentally friendly because we're not running,
You're not hauling.
we're not running new materials out of asphalt plants. So
I think he ran into one project where
So part of,
there was an issue and he was warning us.
so part of the concern that was expressed, at least from the site standpoint, is that with schools in particular, we're going through this extensive hazmat remediation within the existing facility. To where we're giving the building a clean bill of health essentially at that point in order to get students back in there. What's unknown is the condition of any of this asphalt that's had underground storage tanks, whatever's been done over the life of that, and what's being proposed is kind of grinding that up, putting it underneath. I understand kind of it's common practice done in other applications, we've done it before, but with a school project, it just runs the risk of if there is contamination now that's being factored and left on site and could be a potential hazard in the future if someone wanted to dig into.
Do we have underground stormwater under our parking lot that we're looking to reclaim? I mean, we don't have detention under there now. You don't have.
You're talking about fuel storage though.
Correct. You have fuel storage in the front of the school, essentially at that point.
But not under the parking.
Yeah, I'm confused. How does an underground tank affect the asphalt?
Yeah, you're only going into the process, you're only going 3 or 4 inches into the process layer. All you're doing is grinding up your existing asphalt, creating a slightly deeper asphalt layer. And you're doing, I mean, reclaiming parking lots is a very, very common practice.
Yeah,
So,
I'm fine with it.
it almost seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, we've done
I'm
this.
honestly amazed that it's a concern.
We've done this on other school projects. I would want to see a geotech recommendation of how deep to go with the reclamation, where they're grinding up a certain amount of base
Yeah.
with the asphalt and putting it back down. Because you kind of need to know what depth to set the reclaimer at. I'm sure you guys understand that.
Unfortunately, he doesn't know until we've ground it up, because once it's ground up, then he needs a sample to run sieve analysis and other analysis, so.
So the geotech has done no pavement testing out there when they did the geotech work for thickness of pavement and.
It's not about that, it's about when you crush it, how many fines are left in it.
I'm not worried about that.
No,
Well,
yeah, no, it's,
that's what.
you're
determines
creating,
the
you're essentially
suitability.
creating a new process base. And you're putting another 3 to 4 inches of asphalt on top of it.
Yeah.
If Banesh has an issue, have him call Darren and I.
The issue really from the environmental standpoint.
Right.
Yeah, he's just concerned that on another project that we're doing, we went through the same process. We did it and the local officials asked for it to be tested and then they started requiring all kinds of environmental testing on it. So it ended up just costing a lot of money and delaying.
Why would you do that?
It was not up to us. I mean, it was the local officials, went down that path. So he's just saying, just be aware of it.
We'll clear it up with our local officials and say, hey, we're doing this. Do you see any issue with us? We're doing a practice that's essentially industry standard.
What's the design for the asphalt inlet? Can we use 50% rasp on the new one? Asphalt inlet on out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Apparently we can't use asphalt.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So that would be environmental.
Yeah.
That's standard.
Yeah.
They're pushing 20, 50% now.
Yeah.
For the top asphalt layer recycle, so
oh, yeah.
it's there anyway.
Yeah,
So-
no, it makes sense. It helps the project go a lot cleaner. Recycled pit asphalt, otherwise they're excavating
Down,
down.
down the road, Eric's gonna go reclaim this driveway out the parking lot out here.
Yeah.
We don't typically tear it all up and redo it. We
Haul everything out. Yeah,
And so this is one that I flagged that I thought we could accept.
yeah.
Can we write a performance spec for this, that the contractor does some small test pits
Yeah.
to understand how to set the reclaiming depth? And then that is probably not gonna generate enough material for the base, so that gets mixed with new imported base process that comes in.
Yeah.
We actually had that at one point and then they changed it when they ran into this issue with that local official, so.
I
doesn't have a
can't base my design on some random unknown issue that happened in some random unknown town. If they have something legitimate, bring it to the table. Otherwise, this is an accepted standard practice.
Well, I mean, he was just wanting us to bring it up to.
Good. It's brought up and we're gonna say we're doing reclaimed
I
asphalt in
moved
the.
that to accepted.
Yes.
All right, the next one I did want to highlight, even though it was accepted, and everybody said they didn't have an issue, I did want to highlight S03 because what we're gonna be doing is, I don't know if it's a public neighborhood thing, the existing leaching field is a field that was gonna be somewhat left alone in the designs, we weren't really touching it. This is the opportunity for any excess soil to distribute it in that field that's out front, so there will be a little bit of work. I just didn't know if that was a neighbor thing.
How are you gonna do that? Is there gonna be an alternate grading plan or in the show?
Nash is already working on
Nash is
a
working
grading
on
plan.
Providing the grading there. It
Right.
shouldn't affect with the amount
It
that
was like 4,000 yards. And
Is this just gonna extend the slope out?
Yeah.
it will make it more gradual, yeah. So rather than the steep shelf, kind of where the existing pavement basketball hoop is down to the lower kind of field there, it'll just grade that out a little bit more smoothly.
Does it impact the runoff onto the properties in any way?
no,
Flat.
because he's gonna consider the
Should- yeah.
drainage.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any adjustment to kind of drainage that would be meaningful, that would compromise anything that big.
As long as we're not disturbing the whole space, trying to spread it out over the whole area.
That was my concern number one, with the amount we talked.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
with that.
what is happening with the abandonment of the leaching field? Is that just being disconnected and left in place? Correct. So there's no disturbance of that grass area, we can leave it, okay.
Well, except that we're gonna be putting soils on it now.
There's no point in paying to haul this material offsite.
No, we don't want
Well, we just want to make sure you were aware that we were going to be out front working in that area.
Yeah, we just want to communicate it to the adjacent property owners so that they're aware of what's going on. But the big thing is we just don't want to change the drainage pattern in any way,
Correct.
onto the adjacent property.
Yep.
Okay, great.
So SO2, we're moving it to the accepted, not the alternate, right?
Yes, I moved it all over to the accepted, and I'll run through with what changes we made.
Yeah, one of the benefits of the way the site plan works is a lot of the parking lot is reused. So there's a large portion of the parking lot that can be subjected to retail reclamation.
All right, so do you want to do the next pending item,
Um,
or do you want to go line by line?
I'd like to discuss the rubber play surface.
Why don't we go one by one?
Yeah.
It would be nice. wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
let's do
Yeah.
that.
One of the concerns with the road, obviously, you know, we just did a park, playground up at Smith Park. Have a lot of the, you know, it was intended to be full rubber surface. We modified it to significantly less rubber surface, but there is still areas where rubber surface was needed for accessibility standpoint. The wood mulch is an engineered wood mulch. It actually works really, really well. But I do believe that, I don't know if we can go full wood mulch. There may be some need for some rubber surface, so I don't know if that full number makes sense. We'd have to really look at the playground design. Or is that something that we can add in after the fact if we go all wood mulch and decide that?
We use playground mulch everywhere. We do have rubber mats for ADA
Okay.
that we
Yeah.
kind of put in, right, that's important.
You put on top of the wood. mulch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that an acceptable way to go then with something like this? Are you comfortable with that, Eric?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, I use mulch and then I use the mats really only on pre-K. And unless for ADA.
Or
So-
under swing sometimes.
Yeah, those,
Different mats.
yeah, but I wouldn't even do that. Listen, the best surface on those playgrounds is the rubber, but it's so expensive. Everything's proprietary. In order to get them, it's a nightmare. You know, to repair it. So,
It's easier just to spread more mold.
yeah,
Did you-
it's inexpensive. It works.
Have you used on your projects any of the recycled rubber mulch? So it looks like wood mulch, but it's actually made from recycled rubber, because then you
Yeah,
get the
I-
rubber benefits, but
I
it's
think it
much,
typically
a lot
ends up-
less expensive than the poured rubber.
I don't use it. It's me.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's, you know, you end up chasing it around the school. The wood mulch at least degrades over time and, you know, so I've found the mulch is fine. And then we supplement it with the matting for pre-K or ADA issues.
I like the poured rubber surface. I think
No, I
it's
do
nice
too,
to
but-
have. I like
Yeah,
it. I think I'm okay with it as an add alternate.
Yeah.
Howard, I think if you mix it and have a mix of the wood chip and the rubberized surface, it gets to be a mess because the wood chips get all over the rubberized surface. Because I don't think there's a good way to create a transition zone
Yeah,
to keep the mulch in place. So I think it's kind of one or the other.
We had
Either design the
injuries.
Perimeter.
We had injuries just because of that.
Yeah, and if the wood gets out onto the grass, a little bit of it, it's not a big deal, but it's just a mess on the,
You gotta do either or.
Yes. I think it's tough to mix it.
And you do want to keep it as an alternate then?
Yeah, if we can afford it, obviously.
Okay, so that would be an add alternate. All right, the courtyard scope, making that entire, what the improvements were in the courtyard being an add alternate.
Mhm.
We still get the drainage, and then you're gonna get grass or some sort of a. And
So one
you don't want
thing
them all.
to be aware of on that one, the design of the courtyard is based on two outdoor classrooms. When we eliminate that and make that all grass, we may have to go for a modification. But if that's an alternate that gets accepted, we may have to go to for a modification because of the exiting out of the courtyard. Because if you just have grass there, technically it can be construed as a space that a lot of people can gather in. So we would have to say, we're gonna go for a modification based on non-simultaneous usage. We'd be fine if it's non-simultaneous usage. So means state some, we would have to file a modification later on, but that doesn't affect us with what we're doing right now.
You're good with that, Eric?
Yeah.
As an ask for
The less out there, the better for maintenance.
Well, it does mean that you're mowing that entire space.
I mean, what's the other option?
The current design, we don't have any grasses there that require mowing, so it's pathways, kind of low maintenance planting. at that point.
Do we have the old filter?
Yeah,
We do.
well, I
That
mean,
would be
you're
good.
gonna have, well, I mean, at some point you should have some kind of walkway. I mean,
There's no access barely in
That'd be
there.
great.
I mean, for equipment, that's the thing.
No, I know. I mean, the stone, I mean,
And the design was for no mowing. It was
Yeah.
designed so that you have a walkway, classroom space, and then all ground cover. So it would just be,
In theory, they
Yeah.
can do the ground cover. All ground cover.
yeah, instead of grass, just put, what do you think, Pachysandra or something down there? or-
yeah, whatever we call it.
I think the amount of ground cover for that space is gonna be the cost prohibitive item
Huh.
partially there, but I mean, we can further evaluate it, but we just wanna make you aware that that's kind of the approach, given what we've documented versus reducing it down. It just means that you gotta get an equipment, a mower in there to kind of,
But either way, if you go walkways, you're still doing maintenance in there over time.
just a different kind of maintenance, that's all. So again, getting a lawnmower through the school, to your point, in order to get into that space versus selectively wheeling something in maybe once or twice.
You should actually build it with a shed out there so you can park along with it for this.
Oh,
That was gonna be a suggestion, get electric.
We just got that.
Take care of it.
Right, so we can keep it as, grass, right?
Leave it for now.
It's an add.
It's fine. I like the improved courtyard.
I like that. idea.
I'd like to hear from Sydney as far as the programmatic use of that courtyard for the school system. Is everybody okay from a staff perspective of eliminating the courtyard improvements?
I mean, we haven't gone over that specifically because we're just talking about, I think these just came through yesterday. But I know that our teachers will be outside in any way that they can, no matter what is out there.
But you've got to maintain it, so. Should there be more internal discussion
I
about?
think I like the idea of goats, bottom said goats.
Yeah, I'd rather have it.
Those are
I
very
mean,
educational.
Grasses gives you a blank slate. You can do what you want out there afterwards.
See, if you go down, if you go with grass, then you do have to go with the modification.
So the alternates, is there any issue with the order of these?
Mm-mm.
We can just pick and choose however,
Yes.
based on how the bids come in?
So when we're all done with our discussion and we figure out actually how many alternates we're gonna have, you should start thinking about your priorities. So and you have a couple of months to get there. When the bids come in, you're gonna have to decide on which alternates you're gonna want to accept. So that, once we come up with the list, in your back of your mind, start thinking about, this is what I really, really, really want to have if the bids come in under, because that may change who our bidders are. So I'm gonna need to know your priority. by the
Yeah,
time the
we
bids come in.
should meet and list from priority, top priority to low priority ahead of time before. So we know on bid day, which ones we want, 1, 2, 3.
Right, but he's gonna have to come up with a list for next week, so he's gonna do 1 through 10.
Yeah, right.
So you guys wanna rank them A through Z,
We're not ranking.
whatever?
That's fine. I just wanted to know whether we were actually tied to.
No, no,
There's any sort of significance to the order.
no.
I also find that many times when we have alternates, something that we really wanted is so much more expensive than everybody had ever thought of, that you end up getting the other alternates because the price will make a difference in what you're doing. You might get 3 or 4 other items versus just the one item. And so that comes as part of your decision when you're accepting.
Yeah, so I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves too that we can't go over the number. But we have to spend everything. Our goal as the committee is to get everything we can for that price. We're not gonna leave stuff on the table. We can afford it. Our job is not to save 200,000 in the duration of this project. We want to get to the exact number any way we can, and that will include some alternates.
At risk for sounding like a stereotypical woman, but I think there's something to be said of, I like where everybody's mindset is of like not changing the exterior that much, because there's a lot of research of like, when you're entering a building and like all those little things like stamped concrete versus just regular concrete, it really does make a difference. Like someone has to feel really good about the building that they're entering and it sets them up for success that day. So I'm a little bit more of like, I feel like our teachers and our staff, like I just had this conversation at Aces Village today, actually, of like, doesn't matter what the inside of that building looks like right now, because like those teachers and staff, like, it's such an amazing feeling. But you know, so I feel like our staff are the same way in RSD 13, so I think like it's a little bit more of like the give and take, I feel like from the inside versus the outside of like when you pull up, you're like, I'm so excited to be here, and kids get like really excited.
I think the majority of the money is being spent on infrastructure.
Mhm.
So when people come and visit the building, if it's so plain, and then they're gonna say, well, what did you spend $76 million on?
I just want to,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to remind the community that we're not here going to alternate so that we can chop the design, the project. We're here because we're in a budget overrun situation. So if those bids come in and we don't have any financial reason to cut anything, we don't need to cut anything. So these are just things that don't affect the educational program. And we might never talk about them again. We might never talk about, and everybody's hoping that, so, making them alternates isn't a final decision. It's not a final decision at all, and it may never be necessary. But we did have to come up with a large enough dollar value to get us out of a bad situation. That's all these are. They're a safety to get us out of a bad situation and still make the project work. But, we don't have to cut anything right now.
So moving on to the canopies, it looks like the base bid will, you know, the way I'm reading is the base bid is keeping the canopies and the deduct is removing the canopies. Is that correct? Or is
That's
it?
not the way it's written, but I've changed it so
Okay.
that we can't take that deduct. And
Okay.
we're gonna make it a deduct alternate for the earlier conversation.
Okay.
Everything that's a minus, that we're trying to get all off the surplus. So when you no longer make it a minus, you're not helping with the surplus stuff.
Okay.
All right, BEO2 is another pending item. Replace all specified insulated metal panels with alternate material at a certain dollar value per square foot. This is a pending item. I'm not sure.
The reason we made it pending is we just wanted you to be aware. I mean, we're okay with it. For instance, we have metal panels at the top of the building. There's an option to go with a different metal panel, or there's an option to just go with brick. Either one of those could be acceptable to us. So, you know, we're thinking that we put it into the pending category only because we wanted you to be aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, you know, as long as it doesn't, you know, disrupt the look of the building that much, but it doesn't sound like it, but I would think we'd want to put, you know, the best system we can afford out there. So, I mean, I don't have a problem trying to save some money. on it.
Q&A recommendation.
Yes.
So is your
Yeah, but this
recommendation
might
as a VE or an alternate?
Well, this is another example that because of the type of material going up there, you may want, if we want that type of panel, you may want to bid that as a base with an alternate for less.
So just to further the conversation from what I've been working with Tracy, the lead estimator, and Laurel, you know, over the past couple of days, we've talked about this. We're in the process of just trying to find an equivalent insulated metal panel system that gets us to the dollar per square foot value that's indicated here. So we think that we are going to be able to find a system that will meet the performance requirements, still maintaining the insulated metal panel product. So I would feel comfortable just moving this into the accepted kind of column at that point, and we'll find a better product that kind of aligns with the overall budget.
I agree with QA&M's recommendation.
So I'm moving to the accepted. First column.
So you're helping out, Laurel.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
The next two are about rooftop equipment screens. So this would be for, there's gonna be some large units up on the roof, and these are some metal screens to kind of shield them from view. And the suggestion was to make them alternates.
So just to explain these two, because this has been a little bit of a back and forth with the team here, is that We've already documented roof screens, the supports and everything like that. The plan is to keep, horizontal under roof support structure base contract. But any of the vertical supports and the actual roof screens themselves as part of the ad alternate. That way, they're cost control measures that you can either afford to accept if you want to screen the equipment, or you just never accept them at that point if the budget doesn't permit it. Because I think there's been some back and forth and openness to have them be exposed. So.
Are these areas that could in the future be potential solar areas, or is it too tight, near the screening?
The screening is, truthfully, the screening is gonna probably cause more shadowing if you install them. If your plan is to go solar over the entire roof, you're probably better off not installing them at that point, because it's gonna obstruct a little bit more of the roof surface there.
Great.
And I mean,
There's some area, we broke it into two, because some of the areas are toward the front of the building, like the
Screens that are
connector to the media center. So there's the screen over there, because we don't want to see all that ductwork, et cetera, running over there. So- No, not the unit, So that's why it's in the different sections.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm fine with that being an alternate.
Possibilities using solar.
Any reason to talk about
Yeah,
BEO five?
exactly.
Okay, BEO six, this is a means and methods, it's a structural thing, it's at the slab level. If anybody's looked at the newer drawings, we have a brick shelf going in where we have to dig along the foundation wall and place a concrete, little concrete, piece of, it's called a shelf to support the brick. There's another way of doing this with a metal angle, and design team is agreeing to do this, so they're just gonna do it. It's a structural thing.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, so BEO 7 and BEO 4 kind of go, BIO 4 kind of go hand in hand. The BE is separate because it's on the outside of the building. BIO 4 is on the inside of the building, but it's more like a high performance. It's a way of those recessed mats. If you ever see them, they're grills when you go into a store and you're in a vestibule and you walk and there's a piece of metal and you rub your feet off. This is building that. So it's a kind of an expensive system. And we were gonna put them in as alternates.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
They're part of the high performance building requirements, but we can get other points if we don't accept this.
All right, so we weren't looking to take them out completely, but to make them add alternates.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, so number, BIO 3 is more of a bid strategy. It's in pending.
Well, how come you skipped,
Did I skip anything?
skip
I'm
BIO,
sorry, I did. You're right.
BIO two?
Yep, you're right. BIO 1 is, okay, revised design of metal panel ceiling in media center. So if you look at the reflected ceiling plan, I believe we're covering the entire wood ceiling right now with metal panel, which is an expensive item. So we're looking to pare that down somewhat.
So currently, the media center, the acoustics in the media center, it is what it is, and so you can make the case, well, we'll live with how it is currently being used. And, you know, there's no acoustical panels up there, but we are introducing ductwork and other things. We think we can pare that down, and that's what the attempt here is, to pare it down. It may not be, you know, again, acoustics is not an exact science. So when they're calculating the acoustic value, they're going through certain calculations. So we're just saying we're gonna reduce it, and at the end of the day, if there's a concern about it, we can add more panels.
And are we still getting ballot? Is it like the lights? Don't they have baffles and stuff? There's
So,
more than just this metal panel.
Blades with a light in it.
yeah,
What's on
so
the walls?
what's being proposed at this point is we do have Texan wall paneling that covers the wall surface at that point. Again, if everyone remembers the media centers there, it's a lot of window space and then small amounts of wall area kind of between the windows at that point. So our wall surface area is pretty limited in regards to getting large surfaces with the wall paneling system, which would be probably the most cost-effective way to address acoustics within the overall space. So in addition to that, we've included acoustic baffle light fixtures that are going to be pendant mounted fixtures, but it's actually an acoustic baffle up top at the ceiling level to try to help mitigate some of the acoustics within the space, but the recommendation to Rusty's point about the ceiling is that that is your largest surface short of the floor in order to actually try to dampen some noise within the overall area. So it's something we're aware of. We want to be cognizant on. We think we can find a alternative solution to still address the acoustic concerns that have been presented by the faculty within that space. That's the next line item is really kind of addressing.
Yeah.
So Lucy had a question. She wants to know if that means that all the wood will be removed from the ceiling.
It's not being removed, but portions of it would be concealed essentially at that point is what's being proposed.
I hope the acoustic.
So the proposed solution at this point, base contract, we were going with a wood look metal panel ceiling system that's perforated, it's acoustic. So it's going to maintain that similar wood feel that's currently in the space there. This is just indicating a reduction of that within the overall surface area. So we need to just find another design solution to kind of accommodate the reduction being requested.
And that's being done because of the sound that you heard.
Correct. With
From the
updated
staff.
updated acoustic standards, that's kind of the recommendation we're getting from our acoustician at this point for that type of space.
It is a beautiful ceiling. I know what we
It
can
is.
get into, yeah.
It is.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's part of our concern, is we're covering up a good,
Right.
So this will keep
some of
the
it.
volume of the space at least appearing to be the volume of the space.
Correct.
Okay, no, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, VIO2 is to replace solid surface tops with plastic laminate. So in each of, I believe this is the classrooms where there's a sink. The current design is, think of Corian that you're in your kitchen. The design currently calls for a solid surface, whereas we're recommending as an alternate that can either be an add or deduct based on your details, but to go to like a plastic laminate, like what's on here, which is, you know, a downgrade of sorts, but you still have a viable working surface.
Long-term maintenance on that, Eric? I mean, is it gonna last? Is it?
They last here?
Yeah.
No water.
You don't have solid surfaces, maybe.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
put
it's just-
everything's
laminate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our typical approach has been solid surface where we have sinks, just where moisture gets introduced, that we don't have to worry about kind of delamination. However, just given the fact of the extent of the amount of sinks where we have it in every single one of the classrooms at that point, we felt kind of a laminate counter with the wood edge, similar to what you have in some other schools at that point, would be an appropriate kind of finish to kind of potentially reduce some costs.
So
Yeah,
you
an
want to get
alternate.
an add alternate to get the surface solid surface if you can afford it?
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
All right, so the next one, VIO3, it's starred because you're gonna need all of these things, but this is kind of back to what Marnie was talking about earlier. If I can package your metal lockers, the window shades, your whiteboards, your pack boards, your gym bleachers, these are all things that need to be installed at a later time. We will package it as a separate bid package. We will bid it together. You'll have the bid number. But just in case there's an issue, you can delay awarding it and not necessarily award it. Because when we write the GMP, we can't be over the budget, right? We have to stay within our total project budget. So it's a big number there, and you know that you're gonna need it in the end. We would ask that they hold the bid date, their bid value for 6 months from the bid date, so there will be a finite time where you will have to act and we'll have to award that contract if that's the case, but it's a big number. It's easy to identify, you don't want to be confusing bidders with all of these alternates either, so it's an easy enough thing to identify, just another lever.
I'm just not sure it needs to be, the cost needs to be on this sheet.
Well, I think, right, because I think what would isn't the way that we would structure that package is that we would ask that trade to provide a price to hold their number for 6 months. Right? We want their bid number, because if their bid number, if everything falls in line and we don't have to take that strategy, we want their number as competitive as
Okay,
possible.
I
We
understand.
want the option to say, if we want to give that package a pause, that we want what their adder is.
They're,
Would
yeah, you're
then
right.
they're-
Go from 90 days
hold
to
their-
6 months.
Exactly.
Okay, you're right.
Would you bid each one of these separately or is just?
No, it would be one package
One.
where they're
All
all,
the stuff.
yes,
Yep.
oh, it's like a Division 10 specialties.
And I think that just thinking about it is, so, okay, so. Because what we will likely get to is not to sidetrack, but
Mhm.
we should think about how that falls into play when we talk about the ability for trades to bid a combination. Because our general trades contractor
Mhm.
is they're gonna put a bid on this,
If we
and
can
we're gonna
afford it, we'll
want,
afford it.
and we're gonna want a combination, so we're gonna have to figure out how that alternate works for the combination.
I'm just thinking that if it's gonna cost us a premium to have them extend the award, why not just not bid it with the other packages and wait till later? to bid
Because
it?
you won't have your number.
You won't have the number.
You want your numbers now.
Right.
You want to know what you're dealing with. You want all your numbers now.
Yeah.
Okay. You can always rebid it later. If you want to rebid it, you can rebid it, but that doesn't usually save you money.
So you're bidding it as part of the package, and then you're asking for the additional time as a separate line item.
As an alternate, that way they don't, because we don't want them to build that into their number, because what if it works well, then we're already paying for a premium when
Right.
we don't need to hold it for 6 months. So that
Now,
would
if
be
he has an alternate, put it right in there, right where they put their number, I'd say, give me the number if it's 6 months from now, you know, it'd be right right on the bid.
Oh, yeah,
Right, right.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
however you,
But she's asking, why is it on the list now? I think it's because there's 544,000 that we wouldn't be awarding right away in case we couldn't afford it. So the strategy is don't award this bid package if we're $544,000 over, and then you want everything else.
I understand.
You follow me?
Yes. Thank you.
So the contractor has to take it's all or nothing? It's not a la carte, like they can't take whiteboards, tack boards? Okay. It's all or nothing.
All right.
and these are all things that are pretty easy to plug and play, right? They're not intensive with our coordination effort. I mean, to wait 6 months, it's not gonna affect. It's not gonna affect us.
All right, the
Last
last
common for bleachers to be included with all of those other
That's
things.
where I was going.
Yeah, it
And that
depends.
seems like, that seems like its own world.
It is, but the thing about bleacher installation is they'll get the general trades contractor to do it, so.
Because a lot of the companies they're not as geared up to bid a package standalone. They typically have to fall under some of those bid packages that can follow all of the rules and regulations that are set forth in bidding and performing public work.
Yeah, they might not be able to carry the insurance that's required or
Right,
get the
or,
bond.
or all the upfront things that we require just to administer the contract, so it's.
Yeah, and I do it that way because frankly, their installers usually do a terrible job, whereas our general trades do a much better job and so on.
Or when our general trades hires the bad installers, they're responsible for fixing it.
All right, so we have 2 items left under the FP, MEP. So M01, reduce theatrical lighting and dimming cost by 1/3 because the system that we were pricing seemed to be a little bit pricey for the type of school, you know, it's an elementary school, so it seemed like it was a little higher end luxury. And we didn't think that this was gonna do anything with the performance, right? The performance reduction. What, you're looking at me?
Pretty big. I'm not sure I agree with that comment, but
Well,
in our opinion, it's a pretty standard system. But the pricing on it may be higher than what we think it should be, and based on other projects.
Yeah, what was the do we know what the
I think they're
estimated number was?
like 300 and something.
350, I think was the line right there.
For an elementary school.
Yeah.
It'll come down, and that's what we mean. is
Right.
like-
That's a high school number.
Right.
Yeah, so we're in the process of getting
Food on the floor.
hard numbers of kind of what we have kind of documented for the overall system. And we'll see if we can find opportunities in here, as Laurel kind of said, just to improve the number that's currently carried in the estimate.
And as a concept, to reduce that budget, I'm good with that.
So then the last item that's on this list is to provide portable audio enhancement. These are in the individual classrooms in lieu of hardwired.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do in most of my schools, so.
Now, I do need to, before we do a summary of this, I do want to back up 1 page because there were alternates already in the job. So I just want to kind of reiterate what you would see on bid day, because there's more than what we just went over. So again, back of your minds, which ones of these do you want are really, really, really important? So does everybody remember the reinforced turf
Yeah.
parking lot alternate?
So explain that alternate, that means the base bid is what?
I think it's gravel. I think we're still
So-
doing lines.
No, so let's clarify this. So the site alternate one that you have listed here is for the additional 40 parking spot lot that's at the back side of the site behind the academic addition. So that involves all the grading work, the site clearing, responsible for kind of that new parking lot to be added. We've shown it on the site plans as one of the requests from SD into DD's kind of thing. So we have it documented, we have it detailed. So we can get a price for what that's gonna be.
So base bid is nothing, no.
Base bid is nothing. This would solely be an ad alternate, essentially, at this point, is how we envisioned it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It was not in the original scope of work.
Right.
Well, that's good.
The second item is a BDA system, so a bi-directional amplification system, which is your emergency radio frequencies. So in conversations with, the IT director and kind of the administration, it's one of those systems that you can't really address until you finish the building a little bit to determine what the radio frequency strength is inside the building. We have a performance-based spec that we are able to at least provide, so we can get a number, because it is a delegated design kind of item, so we can see what the market is gonna yield for an overall estimate for a school of this size. That way it can be used in the future, whether or not it's part of the project or part of capital improvement.
Yeah.
So Mark, do you have any scope in the, you have the pathways in the base bid, right? It's just the equipment, right? Cause there was sometimes that we end up not having to do anything,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So we don't wanna buy something that we're not gonna.
That's why it's gonna be an alternate.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're clear on, there is something from the standpoint of pathways
Correct.
that is base bid, just so we're not,
Yes.
when it comes to the end of the job, we're not blowing holes in
Doing
walls
the-
and.
yes.
Okay.
So you're specing, these emergency radios, correct?
It's amplification more than, it's like a cell booster, but
I'm
for,
talking about base bid. You're talking, the BDA is the booster for the radios?
is an additional system beyond base bid. So base bid, we may not need anything.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But what type of radio system we talking about?
No, it's for like first responders.
First responder,
They're
personnel.
They're so,
Yeah.
So,
part of it becomes,
I got it.
what kind of a system are they using?
yes,
Right.
so like a multi-link system.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but what is in the documents are pathways in areas so that, because it's at the end of the project when you are able to test, so that you're not drilling holes in walls, that those
Correct.
pathways are there to run
Right.
cabling through.
Correct.
This could also be through a security grant too, by the way. So you could get a lot of this through a security grant. That's still out there.
Yeah.
It can be done as a non-priority.
That's not a code requirement to have that system.
No.
There'll be
And
a final
the thing
sign off.
is, everybody's
to know
changing.
if there's an issue,
Like it,
but-
like, I don't know who we dispatch through, but you have to find out what system they're using, so it's easier to interlink with them.
So do we know the base bid raceways? It's in one of our packages though, right? Like Division 27 or 28?
We own all
It's just-
systems. Now we're trying to say that it's gonna be an alternate. Everything is in our.
Yeah,
contract.
it's fine. Like you said, we may find we don't need anything, plus we don't wanna buy something that's not compatible with the local folks, which is probably changing anyway.
All right, the next item is cell phone booster system.
Yep, so this is another continued conversation that we have with the administration and the IT director. Again, we'll provide, this particular system requires additional design services outside of our scope. Our technology consultant would need to be on site, get accurate readings, determine what the cell coverage is for the actual area at that point in time. So there is a little bit more design work that's needed for this to be formally thrown into an alternate list, because right now we don't have anything included within the documents that's available for it. We could always do this as a change order to the project later on, if needed.
Is there issues there now?
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a big variable number. So I have schools that have added this. The cost, you have to go through and measure everything. But the cost can be as little as 10,000. 100,000 is like, you're out in the middle of nowhere system. So we should leave it there as a placeholder. I'm guessing there will be quite a bit less than that, but we definitely want to.
So I think part of the problem with that, right now, this is just an estimate value that's being carried by ONG to kind of provide an order of magnitude.
Yeah.
As a worst case scenario, if this is something that the committee wants to move forward on, that would require our team to start the process in order to provide the documentation that it could be bid out as an alt.
Does this want to be part of that phase 4 technology?
It sounds like it because they're not gonna really be able to measure, they need the new building in place, really.
Or the only thing I was thinking of is if you really wanted to hold, would we put a CM allowance in with a dollar value as a hold in the GMP? But there's not a whole lot of benefit to that, especially if there's no scope delineated. There's no sense in putting anything in our contract for it at this point.
I think one of Ken's concerns when our director of IT, when we were talking to him, is that there's such an incredibly wide pipe that has to go into the internal structure of the building. Was that what he was saying? Like they're wider than normal for these cell booster systems?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's just roof mounted equipment at that point, so finding a penetration path through, to kind of get those receivers in there. Again, we're gonna have space above the ceilings for kind of raceways and data, kind of raceways to kind of.
They have
How are
wire,
you that one?
you don't always need to go through them for those, but we should keep it, maybe put it in the CM, I mean, on the contingency bucket and just put it high priority, their priority in our list.
Are we saying taking it out of our bid right now?
What is it? But
It's
it's,
not in the bid, so we should
Right.
take it off if we're not gonna be bidding it right now.
I don't, because we're not prepared. We don't know what the scope is, so.
And you don't have anything.
And we don't have the scope of, it wouldn't be an alternate that we'd include on a list just yet, but.
Then we'll just make it a priority.
There's no scope. We're not bidding anything. There's no alternate. It's something that we're gonna have to determine later, right?
Yeah, and you can't anyway, really.
All right, how about the Zoom room board meeting technology number 4?
So this line item in particular, again, one of the requests that we received from the administration, from the Board of Ed at this point is to, in this process, develop technology similar to what we have in here that's more built-in, user-friendly, kind of ingrained within the overall facility at that point. The proposed solution that we have kind of builds off the proposed platform that's going into the Memorial School, using the audio system that's already going in there as part of that overall platform area. What's anticipated for the other technology to get all the interconnected natures of the screens, kind of cameras and everything like that. We have a rough estimate of around 100K for that enhancement. So we have that documented within the updated drawings. We can easily make that an add alternate. So you can get hard numbers if that's something that wants to be kind of accepted again, because that's a component that isn't necessarily education based, but if monetarily it's available based off where the numbers come in.
It's
It could be something.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I mean, I would put it as an alternate.
It doesn't hurt to get the number.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, I would definitely put it as, it'd be nice, definitely nice to have.
Yeah.
And if it's reimbursable.
So I have just the 3 then on that page, and then let's
So-
just,
Laurel, just before we move off of that, the one other item that I know I've had a conversation with Eric on a little while ago that we do include in our specifications is a lightning protection system.
Yeah.
So I think the high school and the middle school both have a lightning protection system to protect data infrastructure within the building. Memorial doesn't currently have it. So what we've done is provided a lightning protection performance spec within the specifications at this point. So the plan from our end was to include that as an add alternate. I don't have a value for you because this is the first time we're really kind of chatting about it at that point, but that is something that's easy enough for us to get a number essentially
So
at this
it's not
point.
in the CDs right now?
It's in the specifications for the documentation. But I think identifying that as an add alternate scope of work would be advisable at this point.
so that means she would take it out of the estimate.
Yeah, if she was carrying it in the estimate, then yeah.
Okay, so add alternate for lightning protection. That doesn't mean anything with insurance and all that, there's not required.
It's not a building code requirement or anything like that. If it's an insurance requirement, I'll defer to
It's not,
Kim or Eric on that
you have permit.
with the policy, but.
No, we do not.
Oh, so there is the check, but I doubt it.
Might need it.
All right, so now it sounds like we have 3 on here, plus adding the lightning protection as an add alternate. And then the page that we started on, just so we can, and again, we'll come up with a new list for next week. GI01, we're gonna go to rejected, but we're gonna be reducing that. And our cost accordingly to adjust for deleting the phase 3 requirement. S01, moving that from accepted to alternate. It wants to be a deduct alternate. We can have that conversation in a minute. But right now, it was agreed to make it a deduct alternate. S02, we said we were gonna accept, so we're going from pending to accepted. I wasn't keeping up on the math. I don't know if you were. BE01 is gonna stay as a deduct alternate. So the deduct alternates, these two mean we can't take it from the estimate right now. We can't reduce our estimate. BE02 is gonna move from pending to accepted. And I think we had no other comments with anything that was below.
So, I mean, the only thing, Laurel, is the value that you're showing for the BIO3. I don't think we're showing that. I don't think we can really show that value at the 544,000.
So I think it's just the bottom line item that would be changed, with including the pending, right?
Well, if they
Right.
go around,
You're saying we can't take a credit for 544 if we don't award it yet?
Well, I'm saying that technically, to finish the project, we have to include this work, right? But what we're saying is, we're trying to come up with a creative way to delay the decision to hopefully a point when our risk profile is different. And if we don't have money at bid time, we have money then, but I don't know if the project can actually be completed without those components.
No, they have to be done.
Right, so we can't take them out of the job. I think we're simply saying, so it's, unfortunately, we can't take that saving. We're not deleting them from the
This should
project.
just
we're
be off and we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do a bid package,
Right,
show the
and,
premium and
yeah,
I understand.
so pending would,
So that one is not gonna be viable.
right.
so I'm gonna add that.
544.
We didn't have any that were completely taken off the list, did we? Other than that one.
No, their stuff just shifted.
All right. Did we shift things to reject it?
Yes, this one's gonna get to reject.
Yeah, it would be, the alternate would be the premium.
Right.
It's not an alternate though. I think she's just gonna do it as part of the bid package.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an alternate. It's just gonna be within the pricing of that particular bid package so that we know if there's a premium to extend the price.
Okay.
So then under pending, I'm gonna take out.
The line item is a package.
But I still don't know how we're gonna address it if you're saying it's not awarded.
What do you mean? Well,
The
but
money still,
we're gonna, I mean,
My art side brain is on, not the math.
and usually your math takes hold, which I'm just waiting for it to click in over there, but
It will.
you'll get it.
so with these changes, we're at an overage now of $1.3 million.
What, 1.3 on 76?
1.339408.
So we were reporting about
339.
1.6 if you took
406.
everything. that-
408.
Is that includes accepting all the lower price of the alternate or the?
Did you deduct the requirements for the fire marshal?
I deducted the requirements for the fire marshal. I deducted that value of that later bid package. And that's it. Some things moved in columns, but I always had all the columns. So things like, put some of the rubber surfacing in, but not all. I can't reflect that now. So there'll be some tweaks.
No, I think we agreed that we're gonna do one or the other.
One or the other,
Okay.
So
yeah.
it's not even.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
So the biggest shift is the insulated metal panel line on BE02 moving into the accepted column.
Yeah.
So it brings the 1.6 overage. So the second from the bottom line item at the bottom of that quote down by 300K roughly.
Well, so if you look at my, under item 7, value management. So I had line items for those that are accepted in the accepted column, those are in the pending column. And those alternates that are in the proposed column,
But Marty,
nothing in rejected.
for instance, when you take S01 and BE01, you can't have any dollars in that affect the bottom line because their deduct all their,
Their deducts, they want them in the base bid. So we can't take the credit right now.
well, actually, we can.
You're forecasting an alternate.
You're
We get-
forecasting you're
we're-
gonna accept.
We're basically saying that we are going to have to accept, so the money will be there, right?
Yeah, you just put it, you have to estimate what you think the.
Right.
deduct-
Right, what I would say, right, and there, the only thing I would say is that I think that those values, when they become deduct alternates, those values go down.
Yeah. You agree?
Yes.
That the 282 goes to
So, all
like
right, so then they're gonna.
250 or
move to the
something like that, there's a
alternate
premium.
One
that-
is BEO, one is already in the alternate column, but those values will come down slightly.
So, again, so because I have all three, I have everything other than rejected. So when they just move, it doesn't matter.
So, okay, but you, right, so I guess if you said we were about 1.3 million over budget,
Yes.
right? Which comes out to about 1.8%. Bid the job,
Absolutely.
Well, I say even at the 1.6 bid the job.
Yeah.
2.10.
even at 2% over bid the job.
Does this have any impact on going into PCR with this being over? Are they not gonna look at our tolerance for
They
bidding?
said we withdraw.
Well, they're gonna say, are you aware that you're out there?
You're
And we'll say, yes, we're taking that risk, that's our risk tolerance.
And we're gonna tell them, that's why we have all these all.
I always tell them, oh, geez, estimates are. They go, oh, that's fine.
Thanks, John. But yet you still pick up your CM. Well, our number must have been really good.
Everybody else's words.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
All right, so that's,
All right, so this will be cleaned up. There will be an order, there will be a numbering of alternates because he's got to get his ducks in a row for
Yes.
Friday. What you guys just need to do for your priorities is a whole nother thing, but again, you have plenty of time to think about it.
how do we propose, 5A voting to accept this? Do we,
We approved the, discuss value management, as.
You're voting next week, so.
no, okay, so we're holding off on 5A until next
What's
week.
my bad?
So on the agenda.
They don't have to vote on,
Yeah.
It
They have
would
to
be.
vote on it, I would say,
Yeah.
like they have in the past, yes, it should be consistent.
We can vote on this as we discussed today, and then we still have next week too.
So, and if you want, yeah, you can do whatever you want with these revisions. I think we have our marching orders from there. What we'll do is we'll consolidate this into a final add alternate list based off the discussions that we have here, which can be presented next week as well, as we review the overall estimate package, because Laurel's numbers will kind of update that reflected kind of alternate designation at that point. So everything will kind of align with what's been discussed here at that point.
And so next week we will vote to approve essentially all the numbers.
You're approving the
Right,
estimate,
yeah.
the drawings, everything like that. So we're
That's all
gonna,
next week.
yeah, we need to approve.
I mean, today, if you're approving anything, you're approving the alternates and that work that
Yeah.
Do we need to vote that or we just?
well, we did last time.
Like
So we should-
adjustments to value engineering.
All right, so do we want to make
As presented.
do we want to make a motion to approve the value engineering, value management proposals as presented?
Yeah.
As modified. I can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the value management as modified in today's meeting.
Can I have a second? Okay, so we have a second on the floor to approve the value management modifications as presented in today's meeting. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Great, that's on to item number 5B. Vote to approve invoices.
Yep, that's me. And then also the next item, I don't believe we have a change order for this evening, right?
We do.
No, we do.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, they already
It's just for signature,
Well, yeah, that's the AIA.
So
the
this is
AIA
a
for
new one?
signature.
Okay.
not a new one. So these are
Okay.
past PCOs that have been approved by this body, just formalized in the AIA documentation.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so we don't have.
Does not require a vote,
Okay, great.
but there is one here, but it's not.
3, 4, 7 invoices, DACO, buses, December $17,360.40. Salas O'Brien, BBH, they are commissioning agent. That is for, work for the month of December. Invoice 6125048666, $10,130.40. Eversource portable 5 and 6 electricity for December, $756.01. CubeSmart January storage invoice 137040, $272. Mobile Modular for the month of January, 2839325 is the invoice number, $3,554. STV invoice number 778, $10,645, and STV 872 invoice number 8,100. And STV is the owner's rep.
A motion
Yeah,
approved.
well then, do we have, QA&M as well?
So I sent that out, but I
Yeah.
didn't hear back.
Oh, yeah.
I can add that on. I
Yeah,
have
let's
it.
add QA&M.
Okay.
Do we have, what about the OG one? Are we? is that
We
back-
approved that one last time.
No.
Hey, yeah,
the
we have a
payout.
new one.
The pay app for phase one, yeah, so that was sent, I think yesterday, Kim.
Okay, I don't. I
That's
didn't
okay.
know
All right, listen, if it gets approved next, it's.
Yeah, we
fine.
have, we can.
That's fine, because that was the one with the BHRO where we had
Correct.
just got it, so
Yep.
we'll wait a week.
Okay. We'll
I
add to
guess
that
we'll go.
QA&M invoice number 17689. Total 200,740.95.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve all of the invoices as presented? Um. Just now,
Yeah, motion approval all the invoices as listed by Kim.
okay, and have a second?
Sure.
Okay, John is seconding, to approve all of the invoices listed by Kim, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
I just want to be clear, am I adding, we'll have to adjust the agenda for next week then to add an invoice approval in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Can I wait till the February 4th meeting, or is it?
It-
It's to release diversity, or?
It does release diversity essentially from their contract.
Well, we'll wait. Final payment. Yeah, February 4th is the next meeting.
If we're, and that was a question I was gonna say, do we need that February 4th meeting? If we
Well,
don't-
I would. If we could put it on the agenda, because if that would be the only reason to meet on February 4th, I'd it'd be better to put on that agenda as long as it's not too painful. And that way it's one less thing that would force you to meet
Do you
on
think we
February
need
4th.
the February 4th meeting?
I think the only thing that I believe would come up would be if we wanted to go through a graphics presentation before it hits the public. So I think just as an update from our standpoint, we were targeting kind of a early February updated graphics package. So we can discuss the best platform in order to have that.
Is there any bid review yet from the demo and? No.
No, I think they'll be a couple weeks behind that.
Or do you want? The bids for that are due when?
Right now, they're due February 3rd,
February 3rd, okay.
But you're gonna extend that, right?
maybe,
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
Can we bring up communication? Sure, okay. My understanding was that, I believe it was, that you had, a communication, package that you would put out to the community. You had a whole system you said that you set up. I remember when you came and spoke to us. Is
Was
that correct?
that them or is that
No,
ONG?
I think are you talking about our good
The
neighbor.
community, yes.
Yes.
We had it, I just
Yeah.
went right off. the-
Yeah, we have a draft of that, and it's essentially a one-page flyer that just gives a little graphic, gives a very high-level timeline of when things may happen, and most importantly, it has our project team's name and phone number, so that if someone has a concern, that we can hopefully be the first people that they reach out to and respond as quickly as possible, or it becomes something larger. We can put out
Can
an
I send it to Kim tomorrow, and then she can forward it, and you guys can look at it next week?
yeah, and provide feedback.
So the concern is there a hosted spot where we can get information out to the public?
We have everything on our website on the front page. It says Memorial Bill here. I'll
Okay,
pull it up.
that would be great.
Yep,
I think we can, amp that up. though.
we can amp it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
But we'd like to have the project schedules, some site photos, maybe the,
So here's our main page, main website page. And right up here, we have Memorial
Okay,
Project.
great.
You click on Memorial Project. We've got all the STV monthly updates. We've got the slideshow that's up there.
Fantastic.
These are from the O and G updates and the strong alignment swing space. So as we continue to get more information,
That's great.
but everything is one-stop shopping right here available. So like when you do the next set of graphics, you know, we can add.
So your
those
good
up there.
neighbor flyer can go right on that.
Could go right there as well.
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as possible would be great because this is quite a large project for the community. And, even though we have avenues like this particular meeting, they're all televised out there and they're recorded. I don't think the information is getting out there.
Can we give the link to this on some of the social media sites too? You know, whenever somebody has a question, yeah, what we would do in the town is when somebody would have a question about a project, we wouldn't respond. We would say, here's the link to the information. Here's the link to the information.
Right.
You know, I try not to engage on social media because it's not a winning engagement, but if you
Not
say,
designed to be.
yeah, here's the link to the page that has the answers to everything you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if we have the good neighbor flyer, we can post on there, hey, here's the update from ONG on the project schedule.
Perfect.
I think a static response makes a lot of sense. And, you know, if that's getting updated all the time, that's great.
Also, there's a newsletter that has a short summary of what's happened this fall
Mhm.
and where we are. I just need a small photo of the layout.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Kim, so I
Tomorrow.
think we'll prioritize kind of some of that site imagery for you, to get out in that
Just
newsletter for
One
tomorrow.
picture of.
Cindy, that's great. How long has that been up?
Oh,
Since the swing space, yeah.
Since the swing space?
And I put it out in my newsletter, but then again, you know, you never know if people
Yeah, I
either,
thi- I
they don't
think-
remember to go back to that
I
site or.
think hitting
Yeah.
the relevant
Or
Facebook pages is a great idea.
I'm sorry, you were both talking at the same time. I know I was a teacher, so I should be good at that, but, sorry.
You're not putting floor plans on the website though, right?
no.
No, we don't have floor plans.
Okay.
The only thing we have is just the original slide deck that was presented to the BOE, but floor plans we wouldn't get out because of safety reasons.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
And, Rusty and Carson too, the extent of the community outreach, I think that Lucy was
Yes,
probably interested in that as well. Like that would be forums for residents to come and look at it, or what does that look like?
I mean, we can design it around what your needs are. So if we want to have a meeting or if we want to have boards, we can create some of those based on the images that we develop. And those can be posted at, you know, the schools or town hall, wherever. So that's one way of just giving, and then the update would be usually giving updates on a monthly basis or whatever, just to have a report. But I think ONG is also providing that, so maybe we can
Right there,
consolidate that into one document.
right there. And I think for community things, sometimes we'll be asked to partner on that as well and give the understanding of the logistics and things like that, so people understand. They're presenting what's happening, and we're explaining how it's happening and what the experience is for them, so we would work with you on that. And then the other component, to your point, is we'll be producing a monthly progress report that there's information that you probably don't want everyone to have, that's like deep dive financial information, but we provide project commentaries, photos that you can extract all that from the PDF you get from us and also put that up there, so.
Yeah, so I usually get what I've gotten in the past was I got that. I filtered it and then fed that to Patty, put on that.
Right, and the report that you're gonna get. Providing earlier, it goes from like a 1 page to like a 120 page report at some point, so yeah, you're gonna love it, it's a great read.
They're not hiding under the table. Sorry.
But we
The
can.
power
we can
strip
go
went
through-
on.
We'll go through that before we present the first one to explain to you what's in it, and then you can figure out what you want to share and what.
Yeah, one of the most important pieces is a schedule, timeline. And I know if we go on the building committee folder, there is a schedule timeline, that's on there. It's like a spreadsheet.
That's
Just a single page. I'm sure that could be updated, even, you know, something like that coming
you want to go
out
under this too?
every couple of weeks. Just Just a quick, yeah, and I'm sure if you look at what's there now, you might have to change some of the dates, but if that gets updated and then put on our website, I mean, that's a quick look.
To create a timeline, so like right back to when I
It's in-
submitted the application,
No,
referendum, everything, and she's putting together a nice
Something
project.
down there.
Yeah.
We'll just keep that up to date as.
Right.
And then just have it.
Right, and just keep it right there. In fact, it would be nice when you opened up the site if that just,
The first thing you saw was. the
Popped up.
project content.
right, it just popped up because that's the biggest issue that's come up on social media and
Right, and
it's,
then Carson, obviously what we want to do is if we can get the most recent, you know, some, especially the roof line changes and things like that on the slides. Just so people don't go in and, you know, wait, I thought the roof was completely different.
Yeah.
You know, any of the major architectural changes, we should update the slides to reflect that and maybe.
So
swap
do you
that out.
want a formal updated like PowerPoint presentation with the updated graphics? Is that the best mechanism for you? Or would you rather have
simple
standalone
and quick.
images?
I think standalone images would be great for this.
Yeah.
Because people like to see those.